Hello everyone, this is the only PvP guide for Succession Tamer. It's a long video, so I divided the guide in many parts so you can go to the topic you're interested in. Well, first I would like to clarify that I have been playing Tamer for a long time and this guide is made under my playstyle and perspective, but there are many things that are out of my scope or things that will change in future patches, so I'll leave an update on a pinned comment and the Tamer Discord where you can look for information. Now, regarding Succession Tamer, I would talk about some cons and pros I find. Among the cons, you can find that she's a middle range class, so positioning is essential if you want to maximize your damage without dying. In melee combat, you can't really trade damage, and against a ranged opponent, you lack a reliable long range CC and fast mobility. Second, and this may surprise many people when they roll to Tamer, is that she's very squishy if you get caught in a non-iframe animation or even in the super armor gap between iframes. That's why you should know the main damage skills of the other class lists in order to use your long iframes. Third, and related to the previous point, you gotta know what the other classes do, as you're very squishy and your CCs for prolonging a combo are mostly unprotected. Next is that you don't have S guard or Q guard, so many times your options are to completely retreat or spend skills and stamina to recover some HP or important cooldowns. Fifth, even though her mobility is good to survive, it's also very poor to chase. She is one of the few assassins who can't even chase a shy. She also isn't very helpful in group PvP. You will find other classes that excel at what she does, but a lot better. And lastly, she's being dependent. Among her pros, she has a grab, which is super cool. She has good survivability and decent AoE. By decent AoE, I mean roaring. One of her main skills is amazing. And then she has con-like areas. She also has really good damage. She has an evasion debuff and accuracy buff, so you will be able to basically kill anyone. She has a lot of trap CCs, which can be really annoying for the opponent and let your team shine a lot of times. Also, she's really good at 1v1. She's really good at PvE, so you can avoid tagging only PvE class and add two classes that you actually like. You can mount a Heuklang and have some fun, or even use it as a mount if you're a horse but killed in an war, for example. And lastly, she's very cute, perfect to wear skins and take screenshots. Okay, I'm sorry. Now, let's take a look to Tamer's skill tree, okay? Before anything, you have to keep in mind that there are skills that have additional effects if Heuklang is present. You will see it in descriptions like this. The first skill is called Flash. It's an unprotected but fast paralysis that has two flows if you keep the keys held. The first flow will add an animation and apply a 15 DP debuff, while the second flow will apply a -20 AP buff. Quite useless because you use this in a combo when the enemy is CC'd, so... but it will also give you 10 magic damage for 10 seconds. Keep in mind that after the third flow, you won't be able to move with directional keys until the animation ends. However, you can use any skill to cancel that animation. Next, we have Volt Wave. It's Shift LME, which is a filler skill. However, if you hold Shift LMB, you will cast Short Wave, which has two animations, both with frontal guide. And remember that as a Tamer, you don't have any S block or Q block, so skills that have frontal guard are important. You can make the first animation of the frontal guard a bit longer if instead of holding Shift LMB, you press it slower. The next skill is Boil Lightning. It is a super armor skill with good AoE, plus 20 DP buff and -20% movement and attack speed debuff. It consumes stamina, and if Heuklang is summoned, when you cast the skill, it will make an additional ink attack and apply paralysis to nearby opponents. You can also press Q while you're iframing to make an air attack with similar effects. Then you have your summon skill to bring Heuklang to life. It's only through a hotkey. I will talk about the paired and all the path skills after this, but keep in mind that this skill has super armor and you can use it while you are unarmed to safely take out your weapons. Next, you have a Scratch that is a super armor paralysis with low CDR. One of your main catch skills, and you can use it while you are iframing, in which case you will have to cancel the animation, and you can also use it as a side scratch, which will move your character a little bit. You have White Splash, you have to love this skill. Then you have Throat Burn, one of your main front and guard damage skills. It has two animations. The first one has a down smash, so you have to be careful. We are going to talk about this in the combo section. Next, we have Trumble. This is a middle range unprotected bound CC with a 9% accuracy debuff. That is not relevant for us. You can use it with a quick slot or by simply pressing a spacebar after any skill except for Clantry and Roaring. Then we have Lighting of Earth, one of my favorite skills in the kit, and it is a middle range CC unprotected, but it's a knockdown with a minus 20 DPU debuff. After this, we find Surgeon Tide, which is a frontal guard, middle range knockback with a 6% evasion debuff and 20% movement debuff. It's a really complete skill, and if you have your pet out when you cast this skill, it will also start making a rotting and applying paralysis to nearby enemies. So you gotta be really careful and fast. If you connect the knockback, you have to quickly make hard CC so the paralysis doesn't ruin your combo. Then we have Trembling, that is a 360 super armor stone, one of your main catches as well. But you have to get used to it as its AoE seems bigger than it actually is. Next, we have Upward Claw. This is an unprotected floating skill with a 9% accuracy buff. It has two animations. The second one has an air smash. It is also the 100% rage skill that adds super armor to the skill, so you have a protected floating. You can also cancel the 100% rage skill, which is super useful. Then we have Rotting, our super armor damage skill with 360 AoE. It has a 30% movement speed debuff and recovers HP on hit. If your pet is out, he will make an extra roaring that applies paralysis to nearby enemies. Next, we have Dark Gowler, the Magnus skill. This skill is a really long iframe that ends with a frontal guard plunge that makes this damage. The last hit has down smash, so you have to be careful, and you recover stamina in all the animation, so it's a really important skill. You can also cancel the skill to only do the frontal guard punch. Then we have All Around Spinner. It's a frontal guard skill with two animations. The first one has a short range and does little damage, while the second has more range and does good damage. As you totally have a block, this skill helps you a lot when you are in a long range scenario, to protect you from damage or from a CC like a meteorite or a doom or something like that, while you are trying to recover some HP or some cooldowns. Moonlight Strike is a mobility skill that does not consume stamina, has super armor, has bleeding, and you can use it when you are unarmed, so you safely move and take your arms out. We have our Class Path, which is defensive. It gives us 20 DP, 15% movement speed, 20% resistances, and 15% evasion. Foreign Kick is your grab. It's a floating CC that has super armor if it connects. You want to block Flurry of Kicks as well as evasive attack. Then Stretch Kick is an unprotected floating skill where you should only use it the first animation, and it's a very situational skill as you have better unprotected CCs. climb tree is one of our main skills as it's a long iframe. The distance and the speed of the skill is better if you use it after legendary beast power, that is shift spacebar, or after moonlight strike. Then we actually have legendary beast power, that is a super armor movement skill that doesn't consume stamina. But you gotta be really careful because the last part of the animation is unprojected, so you have to be quick to follow it with another skill. We have evasion, that is our main iframe. It has a super armor gap between iframes. You can use it forward with WW, in which case moves you more distance, or you can use it to the sides with Shift A or Shift D. It's currently bugged, so if you use it to the sides, you may get CC'd even if you are spamming it. I mean, if you are in iframe or super armor. You can also use it backwards, but it's unprojected. And you can even hold L and B while you're doing this to move faster, but it's not recommended. It spends a lot of stamina and it's unprotected. Then you have Tamer passive and Succession passive, which gives you accuracy, damage, and health. For the Ravens, we have Horror Slam as our first skill, which is an unprojected short-range damage skill with a down smash and 50 TP buff. The other skill is Resonance, which is a super armor skill with a little AoE but has a really nice lingering and a 15 DP buff. You can use it to make charm for important CDs or even to do damage. But be careful, you gotta be really close to the enemy. The next Brahmer has Jones Stop. It's an unprotected skill with a chanted B debuff. You should use this skill only if you are not going to use Lighting of Earth, as both have a DP debuff and it overrides. That's why I don't usually use this skill. And the alternative is Legendary Beast Claws that has two animations. The first one is unprotected but gives you a 10 DP buff, and the second animation moves you in a super armor and applies knockdown to your enemies. If you're going to use this skill, you should have this on a quick slot as it helps you to cancel many animations. The last Robin has Lightning Burn, which is a super armor mobility skill that can be linked after Legendary's Beast Claws and Hover Slam by pressing L and B. It doesn't consume stamina, and you can actually move it with the mouse. Lastly, we have Spike. It's a quick but unprotected knockdown and decent damage. The animation is pretty fluid, so you can really incorporate it to any combo. The choice among the Ravens is completely yours. However, if you are starting, I would recommend you use Resonance, Legendary Beast Claws, and Lightning Burn until you actually feel comfortable with the other Tamer's protections and you feel like you need more damage or more CC. First of all, you should know that Heuklang has many different attack animations and each has a different CC. And actually, one of the hardest things about SUCCESION Tamer is that you have to be really aware of this, because if Heuklang makes a CC that you didn't want it, it can change the CC meter and can ruin all your combos, which I will talk later on the combo section. But for now, you should keep in mind these animations that I will show you right now. For paralysis, the pet has two different animations. One is a roaring, and the other is when he attacks with his two forelegs, but he keeps his ground. Then we have the knockback animation. This is pretty easy to know, and it's when he makes a charge where the pet goes through your opponents. We have the floating CC, and it's when the dog attacks with both forelegs, but he moves forwards the enemy. Lastly, we have the bound animation where he jumps to a side and slams the ground. With this in mind, let's review Heuklang's skill tree. First, we have the buff. It has 5.5 minutes cooldown, it's a lot, and requires you to have your pet summoned. It gives you and nearby allies plus some damage, plus ADP, 20% attack and movement speed, and 60% crit chance. The buff lasts 1 minute for you and 30 seconds for your allies. The first command is to protect you. This makes the pet appear in front of you and you can use it to hide and use it as a cover for a lot of range skills. and for some targeting skills. This is really helpful against DKs or even ninjas. The help action that also makes the dog appear in front of you, but it cancels all the special attacks of your abilities. I mean Void, Roaring, and Surgeon Tide. You can see in the image. This is just in case you feel like they're annoying or they are winning your combos. Maybe you can start with this option. And then you have the command attack that makes the pet rush to an opponent and CCs him. Of course, it goes to the place where your enemy was when you casted the skill. So, for example, if you are aiming this skill to an archer and he moves, the dog is not going to CC him. So it doesn't work on moving targets. This mode also makes your dog do all these special attacks in the place your enemies, so you can use your traps at a safe distance. Lastly, we have one of the best commands in my opinion. It's really fun, and it's the command to mount the Heuklang. This has 1 wind cooldown, you share stamina with the dog, and you're basically unkillable while you're mounted. However, be very careful because anything that can put you down your horse can also put you down from the dog. Such as, for example, a Black Spirit Rage skill, a trap for horses, or even if they shoot you with a rifle. Once you are on top of your pet, you can use all the pet skills that are marked with a Heuklang logo. Is Void, it has down attack and AoE. Next, we have Scratch with a paralysis and air attack. There is Whiplash with down attack. Next we have Throat Burn, where you shove backwards and have a middle range damage. In Trample, you find your main CC that it's a bound and has a 20% crit chance buff. Lighting also gives a -20 DP debuff but has no CC. Surgeon type changes a lot now. It's a charge that has 2 uses, but they need to be consecutive. You can cancel the first animation if you cast it after Legendary Beast power, and this makes a lot of damage. We have the Throbbing version with no CC, and we find the Upward Close with a floating CC. Next is Roaring that has nice AoE, but it's pretty slow. And finally we have Legendary Beast power and the Evasion iframe. The iframe, while we are mounted, has a 5-second cooldown, and you can use it to avoid a rage kill and get unmounted. Here is a combo you can try if you're interested in mounting Heuklang. Okay, regarding movement of Tamer, first you should link the iframe input to a key. I have the iframe on a mouse bottom and the Lightstone strike on another bottom. After this, you want to remember which skills spend stamina and which doesn't, so I'm separating them in this image. Our main goal here is to only use Evasion iframe when we are in danger, as it consumes stamina. The same can be said for Climb Tree. So we're going to use the skills to make time for Legendary Beast power and Moonlight Strike to be up, so we can use them without spending any stamina. There is not a magic formula for moving, and it will highly depend on the kind of PvP you are doing, of course. If you are in I get one-shot scenario, or more a Solare or Captain Ottawa where you are a bit tankier, the things you will do are different. For the first scenario, you want to try using frontal guard skills to recover cooldowns, and some super armor when your guard is low and you need to recover it. For the second scenario instead, you want to hold Surgeon Tide and Throat Burn to combo, and instead you want to use some super armors to recover cooldowns, such as Resonance, Void, Scratch, and sometimes Trembling. You can use the Magnus skill to recover a lot of stamina while being on an iframe. Most of the time you will use Moonlight Strike, Legendary Beast power, one skill, and then you will use again Legendary Beast power. The class has many cancels. Some are useful and some are really useless. Like, for example, you can cancel Trampoline's last animation with SF. This completely shits your combo, so I'm not gonna talk about those cancels, only the useful ones. So the first cancel is when you do a scratch meter, you can use Legendary Beast power to cancel the long animation afterwards. You can cast Jolt Wave, that's the frontal guard part of Jolt Wave, directly if we use it to cancel Void, gaining instant frontal guard. This way you go from super armor to frontal guard. We can also cancel Void with an iframe, with trembling, with grab, with scratch, with lightning, resonance, legendary beast claws, and of course legendary beast power. But be careful, if your pet is summoned and you cancel it too fast, it's not going to do the special attack. As you may know, you can't move after the last animation of a flash, but you can cancel this animation with an iframe, Jolt Wave, grab, upward claw, Surgeon Tide, Void, scratch, throat burn, roaring, Magnus' skill, and with legendary beast claws, but only if you do it from a quick slot. You can cancel the second part of throat burn if someone got pure back, or you need super armor, or you need a down smash or SEC to prolong a combo. You can do it with normal iframe, with Magnus' skill, with trembling, with scratch, legendary beast power, upward claw, under 100%. Trample can be cancelled with legendary beast power. Upward claws has two animations, the second is not casted if you don't hold the keys, and you can cancel the first animation after lighting. You can cancel resonance with the iframe, legendary beast power, trembling, so be careful, if you want to do both damage, you should cast both. You can cancel it with grab if you want to bite someone. You can use Lightning Burn after Horror Slam and after Legendary Beast Claws with LMB. You can use a grab when you are on iframe, while you are on scratch, void, trembling, and resonance. You can move clan tree with your mouse, which is really helpful to engage or confuse your enemy. You can do the same with Moonlight Strike, and you can also move the frontal guard of all your skills. You can also move your normal iframes to abruptly switch the direction you're going, but I don't use this out as it's pretty high and you can easily mess it up. You can cancel lighting with iframe if you start to cast it but you realize it's not a good situation for you to cast it. You can cancel roaring with iframe. You can cancel the minus skill to only do the second part, I mean the punch with frontal guard, after Surgeon Tide, Frumbling, Throat Burn, Roaring, Void, Flash, and Grab. Well, I will summarize how CCs and combos works, and I will also leave a more detailed guide in the description. The first thing you gotta know is that there is a limit of CC someone can take. After this limit, they become immune to CC for 4 seconds. The limit is 2 points, and each CC that counts as 1 point is called hard CC. Almost every CC on the game enters into this category. On the other hand, the soft CCs count only as 0.7 points. They are paralysis and knockback. There are down smash and air smash that count as 0 points, but down smashes have only a 30% chance of connecting. These can be enhanced with Addons up to 45%. This means that if you do 2 hard CCs, your enemy will become immune to CC. However, you can use 3 CC skills if the first or the second CC are paralysis or knockback. You can also make 3 CC skills if they are all paralysis or knockbacks. As you can see in the image, each CC has a different duration, the longest being knockdown, which is the CC you want to prioritize unless you are fighting a squishy enemy or someone with high knockdown resistance. There are also specific moments when the enemy is going to be immune to certain skills. For example, you can't apply paralysis, knockback, or stun to a player that's on the ground, but you will be able to do so while they are in the stunning animation. Once you get used to the CC system, you can start playing around with combos. Catching people with Tamer is the finest part of the class, as you have many options. The most usual way to catch someone is with your grab. This, however, is very predictable, so you want to surprise people. You can use your iframe to get an instant grab, Scratch Console with Legendary Beast Power, and Light Moon Strike to quickly move and grab your opponent that is far away. You can use Magnus skill to bait your opponent. As many people don't know, you can cancel this animation into a grab. You can bite their iframes with a scratch and then use Legendary Beast Power to catch them. You can use Resonance and its lingering to bait some people to come close to you. You can use Surgeon Tide to catch someone at middle range and follow with Lightning or Trample. You can use Lightning or Trample to catch someone at the middle range as well, but it's unprotected, so be careful. If you are at the melee distance, you can retreat with Light Strike or Beast Power and then use Lightning. You will be safer this way. You want to use Legendary Beast Power and Moonlight Strike to get to your opponent's back, so you can use Trembling or a quick upwards close followed by a super armor if it doesn't connect. If you catch someone with Scratch, you can follow with Tremble or Lightning instead of Grab, so you have a longer combo and you can use the super armor of the Grab as a second protected CC if someone comes to the rescue of your enemy. Then you have the pet catches. You can follow an attack command with the Legendary Beast Power, and Lightning or Trample. Now be careful with the traps, it can quickly make immune to your opponents and even add 1.4 points to the CC meter. If there is a trap going on, you shouldn't use Trembling, because the enemy won't go to the ground and the pet can add another paralysis or even a knockback and ruin the combo. You can also mouse move Calantry to get a nice grab, to go to someone's back, or use backwards Surgeon Tide. I will list certain combos I use, but keep in mind that combos are meant to be changed accordingly to the situation. It's not a recipe you have to follow. Sometimes you need to change the skill because it's on cooldown, or because it's unprotected and you're fighting a Succession Nova, or there is someone at your back, or whatever. And remember that Throatburn and the Magnus skill are down smash, so try to use them when a CC is about to end. The main 1v1 combo is as follows: Grab, into Flash, Surgeon Tide when you're standing, Lighting, Roaring, Throatburn, Magnus skill, and Cover Slam. There are many variations to this combo. I will start with the simplest combo that can one-shot squishy opponents and then keep adding skills. And basically, you can swap the second hard CC with any other skill. I will recommend you to first use your knockdowns and then use the CC that lasts the most. Of course, if you go against a squishy target, you can use Upper Claw or Trample that are fast and you will kill them. For high evasion targets, you can add the first animation of Upward Claw when you grab. You have to make it quick so the floating CC doesn't connect to your opponent because the enemy is still not in the ground. Now you can start your combo with other skills. Now, if you're in a group PvP, you may have to change Flash with the protected skill and use time to reposition yourself, as Tamer doesn't have any protected ground CC, unless you count the grab, of course. If you recognize you want to be able to make a second CC, you can simply do damage with roaring and keep on fighting. I will make a breakthrough of my gameplay, but remember that this is only one way to play Tamer, but there are a lot more ways. Here, for example, I have low HP, so I'm trading frontal guard and I try to circle my enemies. Try baiting with Magnus' skill and grab the Corsair. As I have two opponents at my back, I use iframe and legendary beast power to reposition myself, and then I use lighting for knockdown. Magus is spinning and a striker torpedo can go through frontal guard, so I reposition myself once more and try doing damage. If you ever fought a striker, you know you have to go for dinner players, so I try using some traps, and when the Maego gets paralyzed, I use lightning, reposition again, and follow protected combo. Against a striker, try avoiding frontal guards until he uses his tornado, and try playing around until you see a grab chance. As they tend to have knockdown resistance, you can try a double knockdown to ensure the CC. When the others arrive, I try to always maintain distance to use lightning. But suddenly I get grabbed in iframe. I don't win this, but I think it will help you see how to move when you are low on HP. In this clip, you can relate to why I was talking about spending time repositioning and waiting for the opportunity to cast unprotected CCs. This is a tier 1 of the war, so as you can see, the damage is low, and you can enter the enemy pool and disrupt their formation. You can be doing a lot of CC, you can even make your team engage them, and it will be 100% win. When you're getting low on HP or stamina, you can try to retreat and see if someone follows you to the 1 versus 1 where you have the advantage. I mean, it's actually 2v1, you know? Addons depends on your playstyle, so I recommend you to try making your own addon once you have practiced enough with the class. I really like attack speed, so I repeat these addons in many skills, but you can change the addon on Scratch, for example, for a DP buff. On capped content, all plain buffs are useless, unless you or your opponent, of course, don't reach the restrictions. So you want to add everything that scales on percentage, also bleeding and HP recovery. I like using a full damage setup on uncapped content, but if you feel you're too squishy, you can change RBF crystals for some DP or HP crystals. On tier 1 and tier 2 Null Wars, as the HP is capped, you want to get as many extra buffs as possible, like attacking speed, back attack damage, stamina, on hit, and even natural HP recovery. On capped content, where HP matters, you want to first reach the caps, and after that, add some crystals to secure the maximum amount of HP and special damage you can. The build on BDO is quite expensive and takes a lot of time to achieve, so you should sit on the decision for a long time and check how Tamer does on different builds. I like the I kill everything build, so this is my goal. This is an intermediate build, as you can get both rates from Jutina and you can grind or enhance the Borekas. If you need some accuracy on the way, you can build a temporal accuracy ring and an accuracy ring to reach 360 in AP. I have never tried the Bayesian build on Succession Tamer, but besides your class buff every 3 minutes, you don't have any Bayesian buff, so most likely it's not going to work very well unless you try it out against people with less gear. For the artifacts, I like to use accuracy artifacts, and for the Lightstones, I pick Shockwave or target openings. It depends on what you prefer, if you want more damage or you want your knockdowns to get more often. For Tier 1 and Tier 2, you pick stamina artifacts and the target openings combo. For capped content where the HP matters, you go for HP artifact and a Steel of Heart for more HP. Here you can choose to actually change Steel Heart for target openings if you want more damage instead of life. Well, that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed Tamer as much as I do. I leave a Soren Arts Guide link as I am a beginner in this field. I also leave a link to the Tamer Discord and the Tamer guide the Discord made. If you know something that was not included here, please you can let me know in the comments. If you like the guide and want to watch more Tamer content, you can subscribe and navigate the channel. Thank you all for watching.